The reason why I love entrepreneurship in general is because I can be a jack of all trades.
Exactly. Your personal growth is related to your business growth.
Where I get caffeine in me, I lock in on a project or a task, dude, I'm set for a couple hours.
The night before is so important to identifying those key objectives that you want to do.
Dude, can I be honest?
Go.
It's
But no, there's like video proof that he went through that and did this, and that's what led out to the outcome.
And dude, how cool would it be to say that you hit every goal that you set out to achieve and you recorded the entire process?
All right, welcome back to the Simple Media Podcast. Today, got a friend over here, MJ. And yeah, we met here at the University of Tampa a few years back and introduced by familiar friends. So let's get right into it. So give us a brief background and how you came to Tampa.
I ended up choosing the University of Tampa because of the entrepreneurship program. I came here, I love the campus, I love the overall vibe of the city. It's small, it's unique, and it's growing. And I saw that the Hub for Entrepreneurs was hosted here, and I have just been obsessed with entrepreneurship my entire life. So meeting some cool faces, meeting some of the professors here that spoke highly of the entrepreneurship course, that ultimately is what drove me to come here versus going to somewhere like USC or U Miami. And I just love the culture here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then bring me back to your hometown. How was it growing up in high school?
I mean, growing up in high school was a bit of a struggle. If I'm being completely honest, I got bullied up until probably the 8th grade. And the reason is because I was just not the same as everybody else. And if we want to get really deep, I mean, when you're going to a private school that's predominantly people who don't necessarily look like you, but you don't fit in with the people who you do look like because they all come from a different socioeconomic background, it's just kind of tough to fit in because you're not 100% black or you're not 100% this other thing or whatever. And so I just never really fit in up until high school when I really found my niche of people, and I found the people who made me feel like at home. And honestly, a lot of that was online, and that's how I kind of got into the online entrepreneurship space.
No, most definitely. And how would your friends describe you in high school going off that?
My friends would describe me as dedicated, determined, goofy, and sometimes extremely playful.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I always feel like the childhood aspect of us growing up and the different ways we were growing up, it really contributes into the aspect of who you are now and letting that inner child out. So that's how creativity comes to play with a lot of people. So I always am interested on how people were perceived as and then what they truly are, because a lot of people don't have the conversations they want to be having. And then once you do find those close people that you could be fully yourself and be in the present moment, just talking with them about any different idea and then going on different loops with that. So you moved to Tampa, and now what year are you here?
I'm a junior at UT.
Junior at UT. So you
Yeah.
got 2 more years, and as I just graduated from UT, it really is probably the best place to be in the U.S. as Tampa, as you know, could bring so many different opportunities, and not even through school. I was debating just moving here and just being in the city because I fell in love with it. But from that, let's dive into where you started your media agency.
So initially, I started an agency called Kim's and Digital 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with guys like Iman Gadzi and just people in the agency space. And I went through the courses, I bought the masterminds, I read the books, and that ultimately failed. And then I rebranded the agency into something called Deal Hub, where I worked with predominantly solar companies, solar installation companies, and these guys just did not want to give me the time of day, and that company ultimately failed. And then I was having a talk with my mentor, and he was telling me, he was like, dude, you don't want to be selling Facebook ad services to solar guys. And he said, what you want to be doing is media creation. And so that's where I landed on Lid Creative. And now I'm working with a guy who's on a recurring basis, who's introduced me to a lot of different other people who want the same service. And I mean, it's been a ride, to be honest. And I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of in the process of building out processes and systems, and I have one recurring client, and then I've been doing some fractional work just to kind of get my feet wet in the space.
Yep.
Just so I don't move too fast, but I also don't move too slow. And that's kind of how I landed on the media agency. And ever since then, this was probably about 6 months ago, I've just been growing the heck out of it ever since.
Gotcha. And then what part of the business do you actually like doing versus delegating? Like, are you a systems guy? Are you the creative guy, the visionary? What would you describe yourself as?
So that's one of the questions that I think about all the time. It's like, The reason why I love entrepreneurship in general is because I can be a jack of all trades.
Exactly.
Sometimes I like editing the videos, sometimes I like talking to the clients, and sometimes I like creating systems or wikis in our ClickUp project management software. But the majority of my time is spent editing videos. I mean, on my Instagram or TikTok, you'll see that that's what I spend most of my time on. It's just actually in the trenches editing client videos. I wouldn't say that's my favorite. I would say more so the communication side, speaking to clients, understanding their needs and their pain points. I'd say that's probably one of my more that's one of my more favorable skills, is that I'm just good at communicating with people, and that's probably the part of the business that I like the most.
No, I get that. And being the jack of all trades, a lot of people are into the big specialization, but I feel like you really do have to be the jack of all trades, whether that's business, life, combining all the health aspects, because really your personal growth is related to your business growth.
100%.
And let's go into your daily routine. How does that look like?
So, I mean, it's switched up quite a bit over the months because it's summer, but typically I wake up at 6 a.m. every single day. I'll go to bed by 10 the night before. I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about my night routine because that plays into the next day. But I'll plan my day the night before. I'll make sure that I get enough water before I go to sleep, and then I'll go to bed, wake up, do all the morning things. It takes about 30 minutes, and then from there, if it's a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, I'm going on a run. If not, I'll just lift later in the day. But the bulk of my day, I probably work 10 to 12 hours a day. Some days 8, but I mean, it varies just depending on my workload. And then I'm just at the desk, bro. Honestly, I'll eat throughout the day. I have I have an hour break where I just go on a walk. But other than that, I'm in front of the screen, and that's pretty much my entire daily routine.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you're more focused in the mornings or the afternoons?
Definitely the mornings.
Mornings, yeah.
Definitely the mornings, bro. I get caffeine in me. I lock in on a project or a task. Dude, I'm set for a couple of hours.
No, I completely get that. A lot of people don't value their mornings as much because I really emphasize the 1 hour for yourself in the morning just to get pure focus and clarity on what you need to do. And like you said, the night before is so important to identifying those key objectives that you want to do. Yeah. So what are those questions you're asking yourself the night of for the next day?
So I'm not sure I understand the question, but what I'll do is usually I'll look at my ClickUp project management software. I'll see, okay, what are the tasks that are coming up? Are there any videos that my client has inputted into their media pipeline? If not, then what are some other adjacent tasks that I can work on to further along the process? If I don't have anything like that, I'll pretty much schedule the entire day where I'm working on my own content. I try to post once a day, so that might come in the form of me formatting a video, so scripting it out. It might come in the form of me recording or editing. It just kind of depends. And then I'm on this YouTube cycle where I'm posting once a week, so I'll work on that as well. But the series of questions that I ask myself is like, do I have client work? If the answer is no, then I'll proceed to do something on my own personal brand. If the answer is yes, then I'll work on that until I get that done. And if I think that it might take 3 or 4 hours, then so be it. But that stuff comes first because they're paying me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you first like reviewing the whole day, and then you're saying what has not been completed and what's top of mind first, and then those are the main objectives, and then also combining like the personal aspect and health aspect of it?
Yeah, so honestly, I will look at, so like I said, my priorities are like client first. Like that's always gonna be my priority. Then it comes my own content, and then after that comes like if gym. So I mean, midday I'll go to the gym. I go to Crunch down the street or in Channelside. It's pretty cool. I've been enjoying it. But just depending on the kind of tasks I have to work on that day, just it varies the time that I go to gym. But yeah, I mean, health is a big priority for me. And if I don't have anything, then I'll pretty much prioritize my day around health. So I'll go on more walks. I will spend more time outside, spend more time in the gym. But yeah, that's pretty much how I schedule my day. It's nothing too fancy. Pretty much, yeah.
Gotcha. Are you doing this pen and paper, or are you doing it in Notion, or?
Yeah, so time blocking is what I do. So I'll look at the tasks that I have, and then I'll say, okay, how long do I think this is going to take me? If I think it's going to take 2.5 hours, then in my calendar, I'll literally go from like 6:30 to 9 a.m. That's 2.5 hours. I'll be like, okay, that's the time that I'm doing it. And then I'll do that for every single task.
Gotcha. And then what inspired to document the journey? Because I see you posting every day, the routines, the work. What inspired that?
Dude, can I be honest?
Go for it.
It's selfish, really. The reason that I do it is because I don't ever want to make the same mistake twice. And I think that I've been a victim of making the same mistake, making a mistake, and then doing the same exact thing over again. But I document the journey so that I can go back and say, okay, how did I solve this problem last time it came up in my life?
Mm.
And I'll look at the video, I'll watch the video, I'll follow the steps, and then I'll be like, okay, that's how I did it. And then before, when I didn't document, it was like, okay, I can't remember exactly how I beat this boss or how I solved this problem. So now I'm just gonna have to come up from scratch. And I mean, the content piece is like, it helps other people and it helps me. But the big part is like, I just don't want to make the same mistake again. And so that's why I record the videos.
No, I completely relate with that because you get to see your own thought process.
Yeah.
And then get back to the routine non-negotiables that led you to where you were to get into that flow state that you were at. But from there, you're able to just solve your own problem, but also so many people are having the same problems where you're just giving pure value, even though it is selfish to document it.
Yeah.
And I'm on the same page documenting my whole life. I want to see what were the aspects where I was. And also later on, say I got some daughters, sons, I'll tell them some principles and they'll be like, yeah, he's just saying that. But no, there's like video proof that he went through that and did this, and that's what led out to the outcome.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of it, and just reflecting back on it
100%.
over the years. But time does fly by, so it's always nice to reflect back on it.
And dude, how cool would it be to say that you hit every goal that you set out to achieve and you recorded the entire process along the way?
Exactly, that manifestation. There's so many journal notes where I have written exactly where I want it to be. Not all of those hit, but a good 80% of them do. And then you're like, damn, I'm here. But the journey is the destination, and that's always the best way to like document it and just be fully transparent. Because there's a lot of creators online, like Mr. POV, Daniel. He's growing a huge community with just everyone documenting.
Oh, Daniel Dalen?
Yeah, I love his content.
Yeah.
And then there's Jai Journeys. He's another great guy where he just creates masterminds and brings together a community of online entrepreneurs that don't, like you were saying, back home, you might not have that certain group, but with the online leverage you have nowadays, you can really connect with anyone.
Yeah.
So where do you see the creator economy going?
Dude, the economy is going to be creator-centric in 10 years. 100%. Like, there's not going to be a single brand that doesn't have a creator face in the next 10 to 15 years.
No, exactly.
And the reason is because people are starting to realize that when they buy things from these big brands, they don't necessarily have any associated trust with them, but they have associated trust with the people that they see on the internet. And so that's why you see more brand deals being made. That's why you see creators making tons of money online. And it's because brands know the importance of putting a face to their product. Because, dude, Skims, what's her name? Rihanna, like she's worth $1 billion now because people loved her music. She created a personal brand around her music. She has hit songs, and now she's a billionaire because she added a product towards it. Like, brands are starting to tap into what's important in the creator economy. And in the next 10 to 15 years, I will 100% guarantee you that every single brand will have a face, a creator face.
Exactly. The founder brand is so important nowadays, where it's just people are just watch it because they love to see the journey, but also get to see little aspects, whether that's one word that founder says that shoots out an idea in their minds where they're able to take action on it. And from there, it really is. You're able to dream with your eyes open, as many people want to get into the space, but a lot of people don't fully commit into it. And do you see yourself like, this is the option, there's like, just burn the boats, this is the way I want to go?
In terms of just making content?
Making content and just fully living out the dream that you have in your head?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever see myself doing anything else. And I think the content piece has just been something that I picked up over the last 2 years. But I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've burned every single bridge that I've had that could point me in a different direction, unless it was like something where I could learn a skill, like an internship or something like that. And it's because I'm so dead set on the fact that I would rather die than not hit my goals, or I would rather die trying to hit my goals and never hit them than never go after them.
Gotcha.
And so burning every bridge in every other direction, that's 100% what I'm doing.
Gotcha. And then you said you're going to be doing a vlog a week?
Yeah, I've been doing a vlog a week during the summer, and I'm going to continue that throughout school and just kind of document the journey, bro, on YouTube.
Gotcha. Are you building out a community with that as well?
I am, yeah. I'm building out a school community. It's called the College Experience, which is like a play on the normal college experience. And I'm pretty much going to I get questions all the time. How do I stay productive? How do I be disciplined? How do you learn? And I'm like, these are fundamental things that have helped me become a close to 4.0 student, run a business on the side, and still post consistently on social media. And I want to help other people who, you know, are in that same phase, who ask me the same questions over and over again. And I want to be like, go to my school. Like, everything's there. I just want to like download my brain onto a school platform where people can engage, people can meet other people who are like them. Because let's be real, bro. You and I, people like us, like who are more on the optimization route, where you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to also be healthy, and you don't want to do it the traditional way where you work a corporate job necessarily and you're fat by the age of 60. It's like, I want a community of people who are also in that same kind of mind space.
No, most definitely. I really agree with that. So let's hop into the school work-life balance and social. So do you have your classes, what time do you usually schedule them out?
So this semester I got pretty unlucky. I have a class Monday through Friday. On Mondays I have 3 classes, one from 6 to 10 p.m., which kind of is also why I push my sleep schedule back to 10 p.m. And then the other days, I'm pretty much done by 1 every single day. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm done by 10. And so that gives me a lot of time throughout the day to just like push forward the things that I really do care about.
Gotcha, yeah. I can relate with that because I did have some 6 to 10s, but for me, if you are picking in classes, or you probably have as the school semester is starting right now, what I did is I would set my mornings to be completely free so I could work on that. And then from there, I have classes around 12:30 to 3, and then sometimes I would have those 6 to 10, so I'd have that full routine throughout the week. Some days I would have off, depending on my schedule, but sometimes we do get unlucky and get those 6 to 10s, which are kind of brutal depending on the professor you have.
Yeah.
But
how did you balance work and business life when you were in school?
so exactly how I just said, I would have my I would have my classes after 12:30, and I would have until 3:30, and I would have those mornings where I wake up at 7, take that hour to myself, and fully get into the flow state of working, like 90-minute blocks with a little break for stretching and coffee. So I would have the main objectives from 8 to 9:30, and just dialing in, having my phone put away in my bathroom, no distractions, and then take that little break, and then hop back into it until 12, where I would eat breakfast, and then I would go to the gym depending on what time I have class. But I always felt like gym around 12:30 was my ideal time, and then I would hop into school, get through that. I would be working during class, as I'm sure you would be too sometimes. But from there, I would have my meals prepped out, usually just full animal-based steaks, red meat, and fruit with raw dairy. And then evenings, it would be more lighter work, so that would be more video editing or some tasks that I didn't finish from prior in the morning. And then from there, I would usually try to host like weekly dinners, go up to the rooftop, have some social aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then once a month, I would go out and celebrate. Of course, senioritis got to me, so that turned out a little more sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would always make sure to get my daily non-negotiables in no matter what day. Just treat every day how you would normally live it.
Yeah.
And then, Sundays I would reset, plan for the week, and that planning the night of really clarifies what needs to be done and how I want to live my life. But first you have to like identify the 2.0 version of yourself.
Yeah.
What do you truly want to be? Like, who is MJ?
Exactly.
And from there, that's how I really optimized between school and life. So when I was doing community college, I would have basically 1 day's worth of work and then 2 weeks free to do whatever. So that's where I would focus on working on other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how I balance school and then side
Dude,
businesses.
if I'm being honest, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
If I'm being honest, like, I would say that, because I get the question all the time, you just ask, how do you balance, like, work-life balance, work-life school balance, like, how do you do all that? And honestly, I feel like the social aspect for me lacks a lot, and it's not because I'm not good with people. I think that's a common misconception. People are in my comments like, oh, you just, like, suck with people. It's like, no, I promise you it's not the case. It's more so that I find it hard to find people who are like on the same sort of wavelength that I am. And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be self-aggrandizing, like I'm all over here and I'm not trying to say any of that. Yeah. It's more so like I value certain things, and it's harder to find people who value those same things. And I think that I just want to be extremely rigid with the people that I do spend my time with, because like everybody knows that you're the sum of the 5 most people you hang out with. Like that's a common saying throughout entrepreneurship and just in life in general. And sometimes I find myself like getting so deep into work or school or anything like that or fitness that I just lose time for the social. What would you say are like some key tips that you could give to me for like how you found people to build your network?
Definitely leveraging the online space. Before I moved here, I had a few friends online through Instagram, and then that's how we met.
Yeah.
And those were like the online entrepreneurs that I would hang out with that would be at a higher level than me, where it would just inspire me to be more.
Yeah.
And also just really being able to read people right away. It's one thing that you don't really know what people's intentions are right away, whether you might have friends, but you might just be going out with them. So that's just a friend that you're just going to be drinking with. I'm like, all right, but what's the purpose of this? You're not having deeper conversations. One thing I would say is to start hosting stuff, whether that's dinners, just meeting at the pool, going for a run, a workout, and just having a space where you're connecting people with other people that like it. And another thing I would say is just putting yourself out there, saying hi to a stranger randomly, and just having conversation.
Yeah.
Just say, hi, how's it going? I'm MJ. And then simply off that, you could say, have a nice day, depending where the conversation goes. But definitely hosting stuff, like the dinners or just going up to the pool or a beach day after relaxing.
Yeah.
After having a nice week of work, just sitting back and reflecting to who you really want to be around. That's one tip. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It does, especially the hosting piece. That's not something I haven't necessarily thought about.
So a lot of people, what they do, I've saw this concept by the Founders podcast. He explains how his audience that listens to the Founders podcast, it's like a biography. He explains his thoughts and ideas that he gets from meeting with Charlie Munger before he passed, and then people would have a topic for the dinner. So that's one thing I would do. Sometimes I would either host a grill or go out to dinner with 5-6 people with a certain topic of mind. And then from there, just going off and having deeper conversations than you normally have with people.
I see.
And then, let's see, what else would I do? I don't know. I would just, like, your routines of seeing the same people at the gym at the same time you go. Just say, hey, what's up? I always see you around here at this time. And then just get to know them. But let's see, what else would I do on the social aspect of it? The hosting dinners part was a big thing.
Yeah. And grills too, because where I live, they have grills outside by the pool.
Exactly. So
yeah,
using the amenities, just, I don't know. When I first moved here, I didn't really know anyone, but like I said, through Instagram, that's another big leverage point. And then, I don't know. Social aspect.
Tough question.
It is, because I'm still figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, and you're 21?
I'm 22, going to be 23 in 2 months. But
nice. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. But from there, it's just, like I said, identifying who you want in your circles. And you could have multiple circles, but having that one key inner circle where you guys are fully vulnerable with each other and just putting it all out there to grow together. You get ideas from each other, and you also just want to see each other win. So that's my biggest takeaway from that.
Interesting. Definitely some key takeaways that I can put in my arsenal. Yeah.
What are your key takeaways for optimizing for that school life balance? Even though balance, there's no such thing as it. It's just how you would normally live life.
So the way that I quote balance workloads. So number one, you have to understand like what needs to get done. So in my project management software, there's a tab where you can have a personal list. In that personal list, I'll put down all the assignments that are coming up that are due in the next couple of months. When I do that, it gives me a ping every single time, like 2 weeks come before that assignment's due. Usually I'll spend my mornings working on more business or personal content tasks. And then my afternoons are usually spent with school because it doesn't take as much brain power for me to do schoolwork as it does like the creative work that I do. And so that's pretty much kind of how I balance it. And honestly, sometimes it leaves no room for social, but I do try what you already mentioned about like talking to one person per day. I try to do this thing where I have a mental, physical, and a social win every single day. Like I'll compliment somebody's hair or somebody's shoes or just like strike up a random conversation. I'd say the biggest part that I struggle with socially is more so turning that into a deeper relationship, because I honestly think that because I'm so strict with the people that I hang out with, it's hard to find people who kind of fit that criteria. Because obviously you want people who are ahead of you, and you want people who think on a deeper level than you do, and you just want people who are just overall better than you. And I think that part is like where I'm trying to find, okay, how do I create a criteria around finding people who are going to fit that curriculum? And so yeah, in terms of balancing the actual work though, it's more so just the time blocking, it's the prioritization of tasks, it's doing the creative work and slash business work in the morning, and then schoolwork in the afternoon. And then honestly, if I ever need to study, I use the weekends for that. I know a lot of people don't like to work on the weekends, but like if I just have a ton of energy and I have a test coming up, then why the hell not? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then, this is an aspect of it where you do sometimes have to sacrifice the social aspect of it to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Some people call it monk mode. Some people just call it
Seasons of life.
exactly.
Yeah.
But there are different seasons where you're focused on primarily, okay, I'm going to better myself for these next 90 days, no drinking, nothing, but I will have time for myself in the afternoons to enjoy myself, whether
Yeah.
that's a walk, connecting with friends. But from there, I would say I agree with the routine, lighter tasks in the afternoon, hard hitting objectives in the morning. But back to it, I would say that going to where those people are after clarifying who you want to be around, that's the most important part after identifying yourself and what you want to do. But from there, I would say, let's see, through the school community that you will have, you will able to solve your problems and relay that information as a second brain to your viewers and loyal fans. And from there, you never know. A friendship might spark from there, or just another creator sees your content. Hey, love your stuff. Let's connect. Have a
Yeah.
quick call. And really leveraging the online space right now is probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
So, are you using any AI softwares? What are you using
For
for your business, personal? Like, are you using Notion softwares or?
So internally with my project management software, there's this thing called ClickUp Brain. It's their AI software that they have embedded into their actual platform. I use that for a lot of tasks. Like if I have wikis where there's different SOPs built out and I don't necessarily know what they say, I'll ask the AI a quick question. It is an extra charge, but I mean, it's worth it. I do use it sometimes to give me ideas for videos. Like I'm like, okay, what are my top performing videos for the last month? Because I have a spreadsheet that like pulls all that information from. It'll give me ideas like what can I recreate, how can I sort of do this topic again but on a different spin. Those are pretty much the AI tools that I use. I'm starting to look at ManyChat for Instagram automation. That's just going to be more so for promoting the school community when it's out, so that people can DM me words and then I can send them to the school community. The first 100 people are going to be free, by the way, just letting everybody know that. But yeah, that's pretty much the extent of my AI. I did use ChatGPT a couple of times for content generation, but never really like more than that. I mean everybody who hasn't like had a conversation with ChatGPT about some like crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta go down the rabbit hole with it. See how far it goes.
You got to
put in different prompts so it's not restricted and
Yeah,
such. But
yeah.
Let's see. From there, I would say ManyChat is great for the DM replies and commenting.
Yeah.
And then the combination of some people use Zapier. I use Make.com. It's just a little more advanced.
Okay.
But they're pretty similar. It's just Zapier is more linear. And then Make.com, you're able to integrate a few other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use Airtable as a CRM where you're able to, even for the content process, you're able to see where the files are. If you have a team of editors, you can see their comments on it and such. Yeah. But I feel like setting up those foundational systems applies to anything in life.
Dude,
it
100%.
could be literally anything. And really, it's a simple saying of the foundations of a house, but systems and processes are probably the best way to set it up in the beginning and just have it go for yourself continuing over and over and over, and that's how people are making money while they sleep nowadays. But with that said, I would transition this more into where do you see yourself in the next 6 months?
In the next 6 months, before I answer that question, can I tack on to what you just said?
Go for it.
That's so interesting. So before we started this, I was telling you, or it might have been on this podcast, that I was working with one recurring client. And the reason that I'm doing that is not because I don't know how to scale to 5 or 10 or 15. It's because I want to make sure that I have processes built out to support what clients are going to be looking for. And so for this client, I've been touching everything: the editing, the approval process, the posting, the comment engagement, community engagement, whatever it may be. I've been touching every single aspect of it because I don't want to be the kind of founder that is like hands off. I want to be in the trenches and I want to know how processes work. And so that, because the clients that I go after, or that I will be going after, they're like more on the professional side, banking executives. So they like things to be organized and systemized. So while I'm like putting my hands in everything, I can kind of learn to see, okay, this is how this process goes. And then I can write it down in an SOP. This is how this process goes. And then I write it down in an SOP. You know what I mean? So it's so interesting that you say like the foundations are what really matters, because that's what I've dedicated this entire year for. It's just like understanding foundationally, how can this business work and how can this business thrive?
One thing I would add to that is, are you recording your processes and everything when you're doing that?
Yeah. So it's so funny because like I literally, I'll do this once a week where I'll go on OBS and I'll record and I'll just say, okay, what are some things that worked well for me this week? And it's kind of like a reflection, but it doubles as that too. What are some things, what are some processes that I can improve? And then I'll have a video recording and then I'll type out I'll download a transcript and then I'll type out, okay, what are the key points from this? And then that's what turns into the eventual SOPs that I create. So it's so interesting that you say that.
No, I was going to say that because I would use Loom or just my recording softwares where I would record my whole process, even if I'm not even saying a word in it.
Yeah.
I would just do that so I could have my employees, when I hire them, they could, I could delegate that task to them because they see how you want it done and what are your thought processes behind it.
Exactly.
So definitely continue doing that, and you'll grow a big team, and they'll work like you want it to be done.
And then ultimately, like the goal is for every single process to evolve. Like when I do end up hiring like a team of editors, not just contractors or VAs, I really do want them to like grow the processes. I want you to be better than I am at this part. So if I'm hiring an editor, I want you to be 10 times better than me at animation, at After Effects, Premiere Pro, everything, so that you can actually add to that SOP in that process, so that the people underneath you can get to your level, if not better than you, and then they can add to that process.
Gotcha.
I just want bulletproof systems that, you know, it's undeniable that we can provide the result that we promise that we can on the sales call. You know what I mean?
No, most definitely.
Yeah.
And you're using Adobe for all your creatives?
Yeah, all my creative stuff is done on Adobe.
I love Premiere Pro. I was thinking of switching to DaVinci, but that's more for like color grading and such.
Yeah.
But whole different aspect to learn, which is a little side note.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'm curious about this because you're a creator. How do you simply transition all the footage onto your computer and just your organization process with that?
So I guess we'll start, and you want to know my entire content process?
I'm just curious. Yeah.
I'll tell you. No secrets here. So pre-production, it starts for me just like I can actually show you. I have this thing, it's in my project management software. Every client that I have will have it. My client that I work with now has it. It's called a media pipeline. And basically I'll have like every single video that I'll outline in here. So for this one that I just recorded, you can see I have my notes, and then I also have like the script that I'm recording.
Gotcha.
And then also in this, I'll add like what kind of shots I want to do. And so that's all done before I press record. Then when I actually do record, I just follow a script. Sometimes I use a teleprompter if I can't really remember the script or if it's a lot of words. And then from there, I'll take my SD card out of my camera. I'll plug it in. I have an SSD that I plug into the USB-C port. I'll transfer the files from the SD card to the SSD, and then pretty much I start a project from there, and then I import all the files into the Premiere project.
Gotcha.
So like that's my process from A to Z.
Okay, yeah, we're pretty similar with that. I have a SSD where I'm able to change it from my PC to my laptop if I'm on the go. But yeah, are you writing a newsletter or no?
No, I don't have a newsletter per se, but I did just buy the domain mjkimbrough.com, so something coming soon after I have my school community built out, and then obviously get more clients for the agency. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Danco does this process of the one newsletter once a week, and then that's a video script for his from the newsletter.
Interesting.
And then throughout the whole week, he sets that topic on Monday. I've gone through his courses, so I'll just put it out there. But he has this content online for free as well. Monday, simply outline what you want to be learning. You might not have a headline per se, but throughout the whole week, you have non-negotiables of just testing your ideas and putting it out there, and that's what would go into the newsletter. The newsletter is long form, while the testing and the ideas are short form, whether that's Twitter, Instagram, other social media platforms. And then that is built out into a whole newsletter where he sees the ideas that actually hit the audience, and he builds that out, and then he has the video coming after the newsletter is posted. He usually does it on Saturday. So that's one thing I would say that would definitely build an audience as well.
Yeah.
And from there, you're able to have a database of clients, because if you're on social platforms, it can be taken away.
Yeah, rented audience versus owned.
Of course.
Yeah, I think definitely building a newsletter is something that I'll be doing in the foreseeable future. I have this mindset where, like, if I'm working on something, I want to work on one thing at a time. Now, the school community, it's taken a lot of my priority recently, just because I want to get that out before the school year starts. It won't be out, but hopefully
we could get it done this week, and I'll help you out.
But yeah, I wanted to get done pretty soon, and then obviously client work takes priority as well. But if I'm not working on client stuff, it's like school, and then I'll work on like my own content and stuff like that. But that's just kind of like, I don't like starting new things necessarily before I have the systems and processes built out from the last thing, because then at that point I'm just like splitting my focus, you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, I get that 100%. So back to it, where would you see yourself, let's say, before that year ends, during the semester at UT?
Before the year ends, I see myself with, so on the school platform, the first 100 people are going to be free. Before the school year ends, my goal is to have at least 250 people in there that are paid. And then in terms of client-wise, I just want to have more bulletproof systems. Now, I've been working closely with them, so it's like I'm getting on calls with them often, like, okay, did you like the way that I did this? Did you like this process? And then by the end of this year, I'll be ready to roll out to different types of clients, to different businesses, not types, same niche, just different people in different roles. And that's going to pretty much pick up next year. But this year is entirely focused on just building the foundations, and then obviously the school community. I want to get that 250 paid members, and then just being consistent with content, and then YouTube is like a big focus for me right now.
Gotcha.
I didn't mention school. Okay, school-wise, I want to continue on my streak of like at least a 3.8 to 4.0 GPA. That's pretty much like my sweet spot. I realize that like when I don't spend at least, an hour, 2 hours a day on schoolwork, then that kind of wanes. But I mean, it's going to be to keep my grades up, because none of this is possible without my grades being up.
Gotcha. Are you in any clubs at UT?
I'm part of the entrepreneurship club. Now, do I go to the meetings? Not all the time. But if they have an interesting speaker, like a real estate agent or something like that, I'll go and check it out.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's another thing with the social aspect of it. Is going to a bunch of clubs and meeting people through that. Yeah. But with that said, we'll put the school link down. First 100 people are going to be free once it's out. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure
100%.
to pick your brain and have a conversation. So
you too.
Appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Have a good one.
Like, subscribe down below.